Welcome to our podcast, The Words That Make Us.
Consider this time with us as your excuse to take a break from everything.
Every episode, we choose a word that makes us think, wonder, or dream. We read a range of texts that explore different aspects of this word.
And we let our thoughts wander. We hope that yours will too. So grab your favourite tea.
Or a beer.
And join me, Rama.
And me, Tony Bailey. Let's go!
So today's episode is about lying. So Tony, how are you feeling today?
Yeah, good. All good here.
Yeah. I asked you for a reason because I know you're not 100% today.
It's just so much easier to say I'm fine than to go into all of the detail.
I know.
But I'm exhausted. Had a sick daughter for last week, and she's been keeping me awake at night. So I just need a good night's sleep and, lots to do at this time of year. But I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Why do we say that? Why do we say I'm fine when we're clearly not? It is, I think, because it's just a lot easier.
It is easier. It's not because we're lying or because we don't want to tell people the truth. It's because it's too much. You pass somebody in the corridor and you say, "Hey, how are you?" And they're just trying to be nice, and then you can't stop them and say, "Actually, last night I didn't sleep, and then my daughter was sick, and this is going on in my life and my relationship and all of the, can't do that."
No, it's interesting, isn't it? Because the blame there, you think, it really is bad that you should tell the truth. You should tell the truth. But on the other hand, you should also ask questions that you want an answer to.
Yeah.
Because I honestly think, most people, it's, how are you doing? Actually, you don't want an answer. It's just a way of saying, I'm acknowledging that you're here and exist.
So how can we come up with something else that is actually more authentic?
I think it's much better rather than asking something of somebody.
What should we say?
Hi, it's great to see you today.
Okay. I can do that. How about we do that from now on? If we don't have time for the honest answer, the long version.
Well, I think you can speak with honesty yourself to somebody else without asking anything of them.
But if I'm passing you like in the hallway, then I shouldn't ask you a question that I don't have time to listen to the answer to, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, have you ever been... we both live in Germany, so you know what Germans are like. They do take everything literally. So I have been to a party, not that many I might add, but I have been to parties and you ask a German, "Hi, how are you?" And then half an hour later you're thinking, I wish I'd never asked. I didn't actually mean it. I was just introducing myself. And, you end up finding about their hemorrhoids and their corn plasters and their aging auntie and, the cost of potatoes and raven. It's like, I didn't want to know all of that.
I find it one of the most endearing things about Germans, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just how honest they are. Sometimes it can be too much and sometimes they meddle. I think that I don't like, when they just want to tell you what to do when you've never asked.
Yes.
But in general, I do like that.
They do have an honesty, given that today's theme of today's podcast is that one of lying. I think it's the brutal honesty of the Germans that's probably worse than their lying.
Yes. Sometimes I feel like they just need to learn how to package it. I think that would be very good.
I think being, British persona, I think the British are very economical with the truth.
Yeah, I mean,
not in a bad way.
Exactly.
But they don't like to give too much away.
Yeah.
So that the standard is you go into a restaurant, you have an absolutely terrible meal.
Yeah.
I have never had the guts as an English person when the waiter comes and says, "Was everything all right, sir?" Being English, it's, "Oh yeah, no, that was really lovely, fine, yeah."
And then you give them a tip before you leave as well.
Of course, because
I do the same.
Good manners. Whereas I know a German or American would definitely complain.
Yeah.
Or even if it was okay, I would still say that was fine.
Yeah.
But a German would be happy to say, yes, it was all right.
Yeah, kann man essen?
Yeah, it was okay. And they would definitely say, no, it was not good. And what's more, they would complain.
I started doing something like that where I'd be like, do you want a bit of feedback? And then I'll tell them the feedback, but I'll ask them first. And I also try this thing about, like sandwiching the truth, like always saying something lovely before and after and slipping the horrible thing in between. And I think that usually works.
Yeah.
Also with students, like when we give them feedback, it's like, you did this really well, this was not so great.
Yes.
Which I don't know if is in their best interest, because sometimes they ignore the bad bit and just look at the compliment and like, yeah, good.
But it's good. It's good psychology, isn't it?
I think so. I think it's very good, because then you're not showing them that you're only attacking them. There is something nice to say. So I think at the restaurant, I do the same.
Would you say that you are always honest, or could you be accused of ever lying with your students?
With my students, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm quite honest. But I do always try to find good things to say. And they have to be. So this is something that I have decided as a young person, that I'll always find something to say, but it has to be 100% true.
Okay.
So if I give you a compliment on, I don't know, your hair, your t-shirt, I really mean it. I might willingly try not to say anything about your terrible shoes, for example.
My shoes are lovely. Yeah. So that's interesting, because it's interesting that the word lying has quite a negative connotation. You're a liar.
Yeah.
You were lying with your students. I told my class a lie today. Whereas if you say it in a slightly different way, I wasn't completely honest with my class today. Or I told a little white lie.
Yeah.
Or in order to motivate my students, I might have been economical with the truth.
Yeah.
It sounds okay, but if being called a liar is harsh.
Oh my goodness. I remember growing up, I was called a liar by one person in my entire life, which was my dad.
Wow, that's harsh to come
But
from
he
your
kept
dad.
calling me that all the time. And in truth, I did lie to him, because he terrified the hell out of me. So of course I hid a lot of things from him. And it's so funny, because my little one, when he was about 5 or 6 years, this piece of wisdom hit him in the car. And he was like, you know what? Strict parents make their kids become liars. And I'm like, that is so true, because you're scaring them, so they have no other way to avoid your wrath but lie.
Yeah.
But I think
I absolutely agree. I think lying is a habit that comes out of the experience you're having in your childhood, because it's one of the mechanisms you have to protect yourself. So, I'd love to be saying on this podcast that I've never lied. But I think as a kid and as a teenager, I was a pathological liar most of the time, because it was just a lot easier.
Yeah, because you get into a lot of trouble for, going the places you want to go and doing the things you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, imagine you've got serious issues as a child, and you've got parents who are not in any way sympathetic.
Yeah.
It's just a lot easier just to, not tell the truth.
Yeah, unfortunately. So
that lie that I gave you about I feel fine is apparently the most commonly told lie.
It is.
So what other lies do you commonly tell, or do you think people commonly tell? I mean, I think the very fact is, I'm telling you the truth. I think that is one of the most common lies.
I think for me, really, personally, I really hope that I am not lying when I say that I don't lie very often. I am very, very honest. And I think what I pride myself on is that I can be honest in a nice way. I try not to hurt people's feelings when I'm being honest, but I am 100% honest.
And I think people appreciate it when they know particular people will be honest with them, but in a positive or a decent way.
One day I was teaching with a teacher here, and I said to her, you have a great figure. This dress that you're wearing today is not doing you any favors. And I would love for somebody to tell me that, to say to me, look, you usually look so pretty, but this dress is terrible on you. Don't wear it again. She was so offended, and I was
really?
like, and I was like, okay, then that's it for you and me. I'm not going to tell you the truth ever again. Tell you anything. I'm not going to lie. I mean, she didn't ask. Granted, she didn't ask.
And you did go bursting into the classroom while she was teaching and just announce it to the class. And
do you all agree,
have a vote, hands up.
No. It was just between us, and I thought our relationship, it's like if you have something on your teeth? Don't you want people to tell you before you go into a meeting or something?
Definitely.
I mean, I would hate to go somewhere where I know I was just with my best friend or my sister and they didn't tell me.
Yeah.
So I think, but anyway, about the most common lies, I did find something. First of all, actually, the top one is I'm fine, like you said. 60% of people admitting that they have told this lie, which is interesting because I would have
thought it'd be more.
I thought 100%, but okay.
Sample wasn't just English people then, because that would have been 100%.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe the sample was from around the world and not just English people. I'll be there in 5 minutes, or I'm on my way. These are also apparently very common lies.
Yeah.
I don't think I've told these lies, but similar things. When I'm like on the way and I know I left a bit late.
But see, I don't see that so much as lying, as just being late.
Yeah.
I mean,
but instead
of
admitting that, I left it too late, you say, "Ooh, there was a traffic jam on the way."
I think, it was terrible getting here.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
stuck in traffic or whatever. That was terrible. Yeah, that's a lie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
So, I've said that before. I didn't see your message or your call, so that's why I'm answering late. That's
or my phone ran out of battery.
Exactly. All of these things. These are lies.
Claiming not to have had a message. I use that a lot because I hate being under pressure to reply or respond when I don't want to.
Yeah, and you don't have to say anything. People shouldn't ask you why didn't you.
I should
reply.
feel comfortable to say I didn't reply because I just didn't feel like it.
Well, you don't have to say it that way. You can just say like, I try to take breaks from my phone so I don't look at it all the time.
Yeah, I don't always reply straight away.
Yeah, exactly.
I take my time because that's true. But you feel guilty about it, so it's far easier to say, I've been having terrible problems with my phone. What's up?
No coverage in my apartment.
I don't know. When I sit down on my sofa in front of the television, for some reason, none of the messages come through. Yeah.
So apparently that one, 30% of the people surveyed said that they use that lie. But the last one is my favorite.
Yeah.
I think this is 100% of us.
Yeah.
I have read and agreed to the terms and conditions.
I certainly haven't read them, and I certainly don't agree with them, but I can't be bothered. It's terrible, isn't it? But, it's true. That is so true.
I love that one. And it says here only 25% have done it. I'm 100% sure at least 95% have done it.
Of course.
I mean,
we all click on OK, don't we?
Exactly.
Exactly.
So,
I've got a few more that you might... No, I only had one beer.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Most blokes have definitely said that lie. Mm-hmm. No, I only had the one. I never got the message. Yeah, it didn't cost much.
Oh, that's a woman, though.
Didn't cost much. Well, I think men also like to claim that they got something, and it was reduced.
Yeah, it was
reduced in the
50,
sale.
60%, exactly.
It was on sale. I've had it for ages. I got it new last weekend, of course. Thanks. That's just what I always wanted.
Oh, yeah. I think and this is interesting because I teach my kids to say that. That's like a lie that we all tell because that's the only thing that's acceptable. I mean, I once gave my nephew a present and he was like, nicht dein Ernst. He was like, you're not serious. When he looked at the gift and I'm like, oh my God, like my kids know that you just look at it, you say, I love it.
Bit of manners, it's not to do with the present, it's to
So that's the thing. It's like a bit of lying here wouldn't hurt anyone.
Yeah. You've lost weight. You haven't changed a bit.
No.
All of these compliments, when you see somebody and you haven't seen them for a while, you're trying to think of what to say and something comes out and it's clearly not true.
And
you're looking great. You're looking great.
Knowing you, I'm guessing also you don't remember their name, but you're just giving them a compliment.
Yeah. How did you spell your husband's name again? Well, B-O-B, Bob. What? Why are you asking? I've done that. Yeah. I've no idea where it is. Yeah. I've thrown things away.
Oh, yeah.
I have thrown many things away to get rid of clutter and then been asked where things are.
I'm like, no idea.
I have no idea. I know. And then the one that people, especially women in my life, always used to say, I have a headache. And I think that was a lie. I can't believe that so many women over so many years have contracted headache problems, always at the same time of the night, around me. What is it about me that causes an outbreak of headaches? I don't know. I think they might have been lying.
That's hilarious.
Do you think? Yeah. So, which countries do you think are the biggest liars? Because I think the Germans. I feel like most people here are pretty honest, openly, probably too honest
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think no matter what I say, I'll offend someone. I have some countries in mind.
Yeah.
Can I say also? I think it's an affliction that we have in the Middle East.
Yes.
Everybody exaggerates. They love.
No, because that's really interesting, isn't it? Because
my son is studying to become a doctor.
Yeah.
All of these lies. Oh, her husband, my daughter's husband loves her so much. All of these. They love lying. They don't like telling the truth.
Yeah. So it's really interesting because that's not, first hand, you don't think of exaggeration as lying, but it is, isn't it?
Of course, it's a form of lying.
It's, in many ways, I don't like it either.
No.
That kind of, is your child only doing up to the 10 times table? I can do, third order differential equations.
Yeah.
You're lying, aren't you? Yeah. So a study by the University of East Anglia tested the honesty of people from Brazil, China, Greece, Japan, Russia, Switzerland, Turkey, United States, Argentina, Denmark, United Kingdom, India, Portugal, South Africa and South Korea.
Okay.
So they asked 1,500 participants. They participated in 2 tests. One where they flipped a coin and every time it landed on heads, they got money. They were given money. And they had to toss the coin 100 times themselves and keep note of how many times it was heads. So obviously if you were from a country and you were consistently saying over 50% of the time it was heads, chances are you were being dishonest.
Yeah.
And in another one, the second part of the test, they had to complete a music quiz, promising they wouldn't look up the answers on the internet, but they would earn money for doing well on the test. Some of the questions, there was actually no answer because the question didn't relate to anybody. So getting more than one of these impossible questions right, according to the person, showed they were being dishonest because they couldn't get the question right. So, interesting. Of those 15, the coin flip test, I'll just give you the top 5 most dishonest.
Yes.
1, China.
Okay.
2, Japan.
Japan.
3, South Korea. 4, India, and 5, Brazil.
So mostly Asian countries?
Yeah, interestingly.
That's crazy.
The most honest in the coin flip test, just saying, Great Britain.
I know.
Is this why we are such a country of losers right now? We're just being too honest.
Yeah, I think the problem with this is that they're very self-deprecating, the British.
Yeah. I was rubbish at the car. I couldn't get it.
They will lie when they're trying to be nice to people, but when it comes to themselves, they're always,
Yeah. Interesting. The music quiz, knowing about music, most dishonest, Turkey, then China again, then India, then Portugal, then Brazil. The outlier here is that Japan was the second most dishonest in the coin flip test.
That's really interesting.
But it was the most honest in the music quiz.
Maybe because they don't think they're very good at world music or something?
Maybe there's a difference between something that's just probability and chance.
Yeah.
So it could be that they, whereas the knowledge they couldn't get away with it.
They could be found out if they lied about that one.
But second most honest, of course, was Great Britain again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's funny because the country that I had in mind is actually high on the list, but I wasn't going to say it, and I'm still not going to say it because
No,
I don't want to offend anyone.
Who is it?
Yeah.
Who did you? Amongst the English-speaking world.
Yeah.
So, again, back in the world of Brits and Americans and such like, apparently the most dishonest, they put some extra questions in the PISA study, the academic study that our kids do, surveying teenagers. So this is really honesty in teenagers in all of the English-speaking nations of the world. So the most dishonest, they put some questions at the end that were basically impossible, and then kids were asked to make some comments about how easily they've been able to answer them and whatever. Canadians most dishonest, followed by Americans, followed by Australians.
Australians?
Yeah. Scottish were the least dishonest.
Wow.
Yeah. There was quite a large gender difference also in lying because boys lie a lot more than girls. Why does that not surprise me? Do you think men...
Saving face, I think, is very important for boys than...
Yeah.
It's more important for boys or males than it is for females, I think, because they care so much about their image. Maybe if it came to looks, maybe women would lie a bit more, but if it's like academics and things, anything else in the world, I think men or boys would lie more. That's my theory.
You think so? I have a theory, which is women are just better at
hiding
their lies.
Yeah, maybe they are more smart about it. That's true.
I think men, the lies are just more blatant.
Yes.
They're more blatant. I saved 15 people from a burning building. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
I wrestled a bear with my bare hands.
Yeah.
All of these things. Yeah.
So maybe it's the things that we lie about are different.
Yeah,
but
that's absolutely true.
I don't know whether there's a natural propensity for men to be more of a liar than women.
I think it depends on the context, but yeah, I do feel like men do care so much about their image and their status in society that they do exaggerate, at least. They do lie about things.
Yeah.
Speaking of Australians,
yeah.
Our friend sent me a video the other day. She's this lady in the video is a Brit. And she was like, be careful, because when you go to Australia, they will most definitely lie to you.
Yes.
And so she was in the company with all of these Australian people. And they said to her, do you like sushi? She said, yeah, I really love sushi. They said, but have you ever had sushi with gecko eggs? And she was like, what? No, I've never had that. And so this person said to everybody in the office, oh my God, she's never had gecko eggs on sushi. And they were like, what? No way, we've got to take you this evening.
Yeah. Oh,
and so
God.
she goes and orders it, and the waiter goes like, what? You want what on your sushi? And so it was really funny, and apparently it's a very common thing.
But that says something about the Australian sense of humour. Rather, I think it's such an interesting thing. Like, say, lying, there's a part of it which is very negative and bad, but there's another part of it which is quite fun.
Some of it is hilarious.
And I think, I'm sure we're going to end up talking about white lies as well. I think there is sometimes a positive thing out of being not completely honest.
I think white lies are mostly positive because you're doing it to save the other person's feelings.
Yeah, of course.
And so, yeah.
Have you got any readings? We haven't had any readings yet. What did you find on lies?
Well, I found this really interesting poem, actually. I have one by Rumi, but I'm not sure I like it very much. It's pretty repetitive. If I run out of things to read, maybe I'll read it to you at the end.
Yeah.
But this thing that I have is called White Lies by NATASHA TRETHEWEY, which is interesting. TRETHEWEY.
Yeah, sounds good.
The lies I could tell when I was growing up. Light, bright, near white, high yellow, red-boned, in a black place, were just white lies. I could easily tell the white folks that we lived uptown, not in the pink and green shanty-fled shotgun section along the tracks. I could act like my homemade dresses came straight out the window of Maison Blanche. I could even keep quiet as kept. Like the time a white girl said, squeezing my hand, now we have 3 of us in this class. But I paid for it every time Mama found out. She laid her hands on me, then washed out my mouth with ivory soap. This is to purify, she said, and cleanse your lying tongue. Believing her, I swallowed suds, thinking they'd work from the inside out.
Wow.
So, I looked up the meaning. What do you think this is about?
Is this...
Because it didn't come to me like at first.
I think this... I'm guessing here. Is this somebody of dual race?
Exactly.
Who appears white but has got a black parent, and she lies to her friend, the white girl, saying, now we have 3 of us, another white girl in the class.
Exactly.
There's some nice images there of straight out of the window of Maison Blanche.
Yeah.
It's
blanched out white.
Yeah,
exactly.
and ivory soap, and that's nice.
I really like that one because we all try to bump our status a little bit, but it's such a shame that some people have to lie about their race or ethnicity because it's not as respected or it's not receiving equal treatment in society.
Have you ever had tell lies about yourself, about your past or about your family to protect yourself or to give yourself greater
I am
confidence?
Generally, as I said, very honest, but there is this one thing which is really interesting that I'm telling it for the first time ever. Like, I've never even told myself the truth about this. When I used to apply for jobs, I used to always put on my resume British Syrian, where in fact I'm Syrian British. Yeah. Because, people here in Germany would not see me as kind of like worthy of a job if I was more, and the truth is that I'm definitely more Syrian than British because I was born in England and everything, and I have an English passport, a British passport, but And
isn't that terrible? You, in order to give yourself greater chances or choices, you have to lie about certain things. I mean, it's not really a lie because I am definitely both those things, but it's just like if you look at apparently in America, a lot of people don't put their photo on their resume because if they see that you're black, you don't even get a first interview. So it's a bit of a shame, but there's my lie, my early lie, not anymore. I think when I was in my early teens, I went to Manchester Grammar School, which is quite posh, scholarship school and all that. But I was lucky because I got a scholarship because my parents weren't in a position to pay for it. And my dad had previously been in quite a good job in marketing, furniture marketing. But then with the recession, he'd lost his job. So he was unemployed at a time in the UK where there was quite a lot of unemployment. And he was unemployed for quite a long time. And for him, it was a real blow to his personal pride.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And so going to Manchester Grammar School, surrounded by people whose dads were bankers, lawyers and accountants. My dad was a previously successful person who was now unemployed and trying to find a job. And it was really uncomfortable and embarrassing, both for me personally and on behalf of my dad. So I always used to lie about
his job.
For me, he was still a successful marketing director of a furniture company.
Oh, I see. How old were you?
Yeah, I'd say probably about 12, 13.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just a protection thing, isn't it? To lie, protect yourself and other people as well.
Exactly, protect yourself and other people. Yeah, and also to just make life a little bit easier because sometimes telling the truth, like we said at the very beginning, takes a lot of time, and we have to, explain the whole backstory. And I'm like, I don't want to. Like when people ask me how many siblings I have, it's always a long story because I have quite a lot of siblings. But that's because my parents both remarried other people and they kept having children. And I'm like, do I really want to tell the story? But I always do because it's like that's the right thing to do.
Apparently, one of the places where people tell most lies is on dating sites.
I can believe that. I
mean, I think you want to put across the best version of yourself that's going to be the most attractive, so you don't want to reveal your, the irony is any negatives are going to come out in the wash eventually, so you might as well get them out of the way.
Exactly.
But people don't.
Because I think it's very endearing if you start with these little flaws about you, you just say you're honest about it. I find that, I would never lie on these things because imagine if you put on like a photo with a filter and then you go to meet that person. I see
Photoshop as the ultimate in 21st century lying. It's terrible. Why do you do that?
Because like you meet the person and you see that they're disappointed. Like I've met people where I was like, you did not see
God.
You look nothing like your photo, but why would you do that? It's just so dumb.
Or if they look like they did in the Photoshop picture, they would look terrible as well because they'd have no texture to their face. They'd be,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or they're an old photo from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's another one where you're like, dude, I was like, I'm going to meet you at some point. Like, why would you do that? It's just...
I mean, social media, you mentioned photoshopping, but, this whole world of Instagram and TikTok that we've talked about quite a lot, this kind of spectrum of truth to lie, there's now...
It's blurry.
Everywhere in between.
Yeah.
So you can't see them as two different things.
Yeah, you can't.
Every time, you're telling some sort of lie, there might be an element of truth in it. You think about this whole world of conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Well, there's possibly, in essence, a small amount of truth in some of this stuff, but an awful lot of lie. It's very, very difficult now to discern what is a lie and what is the truth.
And if you think about it, I am guessing also that a lot of lying happened in the past. There are so many historical issues or events that we will never know the truth about, because how do we know who wrote this history? They say history is written by the victor, that's one thing. And also could be somebody, because there's only one source of the truth back then,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so it's like, I think a lot of history is just lies, basically.
Well, there are a lot of well-documented big lies in history.
Can I tell you my favorite, and then you tell me what you think?
I'll find a couple for you there.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite worst lie, I hate it so much, is when America and Britain decided that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
Absolutely.
I think, to me, this is the worst, most blatant lie. And don't get me wrong, I hated Saddam Hussein. He was a terrible person. He committed a lot of atrocities, but they went in to oust him and take all the oil in the country and all of that. And Tony Blair knew this was a lie.
He was
and so did Bush.
It was feeble to watch.
Yeah.
Kind of that sycophantic, we must do what the Americans do, and standing in front of the British people and just openly lying about what had been found. And it was clearly a lie and was found to be so during the inquiry afterwards.
Yeah, and Iraq is now destroyed. I don't think there's any chance of it standing on its own feet ever again because of all that exploitation and all that chaos that ensued. It's just heartbreaking, really. And I see Syria going in the same direction, so it breaks my heart. So that's my biggest lie that I hate so much. How about you?
Well, there's a number of famous ones, aren't there? I guess.
Give us something that kind of changed the trajectory of history.
Well, I guess with Watergate, the States was a big one. The Monica Lewinsky affair, Bill Clinton.
I never had sex with that woman.
No, I never inhaled or whatever. I think the two that I was drawn towards, one is just the blatant lying by the tobacco industry on the dangers of cigarette smoking, even up until relatively modern times, underplaying the dangers of cigarette smoking. And in fact, even claiming that they were good for your health. It has
benefits for you, exactly.
As recently as 1994, cigarette smoking is no more addictive than coffee, tea or Twinkies. Which is, of course...
a blatant lie.
A lie. Nicotine is hugely addictive, whereas a CEO of Philip Morris, big tobacco company, likened them to gummy bears. So, I think it's well known what their health risks are, and I think that was terrible that they were allowed to, for so long, tell such blatant
But do you
whoppers.
think that, had they told the truth, do you think there would have been fewer people smoking? I really don't think so.
Well, I think it's worked in countries like the UK. It's interesting as a combination of better information about the health risks and also putting in some social policy around pricing and labelling and advertising. The number of people smoking, particularly in those younger age groups, has
declining
fallen drastically, which I think is really good.
Okay.
And the other one that I thought was really interesting was, have you heard of the vaccine research doctor, Andrew Wakefield?
Yes.
Who he published an article
about autism,
about the link between autism with the MMR vaccine in 1998. Study received wide publicity. even though the research was based on an incredibly small sample of 12
Yes.
children.
Yeah.
There are also serious ethical issues. Wakefield didn't get the clearance to work with those subjects, and he falsified the data that he included. And ultimately, Lancet retracted the paper, leaving him in a cloud of shame.
But the damage is done.
Yeah. In the years following, vaccination rates dropped below 50% in some parts of the UK.
There is a Somali community in the US where they refuse to, and it's so interesting because like one person catches on and then they spread the lie further and then everybody follows suit. It's just insane.
And during that period, residents of the UK experienced more than 10,000 preventable cases of measles and such like. So I think, that's just horrible, abuse
why?
of your...
But why would you do that?
Because...
Publicity?
Publicity, yeah. Yeah, I think you wouldn't want to lose the power or publicity or celebrity that you'd gained. And he was one of those people who liked...
being in the limelight.
Being in the limelight.
So the question is now, do you think that this doctor regrets doing that, and all of the people that, did you say died because of the 10,000 people?
They didn't die, they just got...
Okay. So whatever they got, do you think that he can forgive himself, or do you think that he genuinely believes that he is the victim here?
Well, he was struck off the UK medical register. However,
I thought he was American.
No, he was British.
He's British.
But he's now in the States.
Yeah.
Where he set up a centre. What was it? He's set up the Thoughtful House Centre for Children, studying autism. He's continued to promote the theory of a link between the MMR vaccine and autism, despite admitting it wasn't proven. Crazy. He resigned from this in February 2010, after the General Medical Council found he'd been dishonest and irresponsible. He's barred from practicing as a physician, not licensed in the US, but he has set up a strategic autism initiative.
Insane.
To commission studies into the condition. And a lot of the theory goes back to, he's got followers who've got people with autism-like symptoms, and they're basically looking for a cause.
Yeah.
And it gives him a sense of, power, I guess. Yeah, so that one was quite interesting. I mean, there's lots of them. The biggest lie of all was the Nazi propaganda and...
Oh, absolutely.
What was happening during the Second World War is, just a
It's
lie
of such blatant lies.
Epic proportions. Could you imagine being a person who was not aware of what was going on, finding out that was the extent of the lie that was being perpetrated?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I really cannot believe
horrendous, isn't it?
How they made people, how they brainwashed them into believing things that are so blatantly inhumane and just insane.
Do you think, politicians 20 years ago, 30 years ago, if they'd have been found in an interview or a statement they were making to have told a lie, like Watergate, then this was major scandal.
Yeah.
But now, look at the politicians, and they are openly lying, multiple lies throughout. Yeah. It is just lie after lie after lie. Why is that? Why are our lies being
more
tolerated as part of the political approach now?
I mean, I don't know if this applies to everywhere in the world. I know you're talking about the US, but I don't know if it applies everywhere. But I think maybe maybe social media is contributing, the polarization that is happening when people are lying like that, and they have followers and they have people who just listen to their lies and perpetuate them and, sell them as truths. And so that's why I think people can get away with a lot more, because they have a fan base, basically.
Yeah, I think I'm not so surprised by the telling the lies. I was surprised by people's willingness to go along with it.
Yeah.
So, Trump, lie after lie after lie. Farage, Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
Republican George Santos made up most of his life story.
Yeah. I love that one. That's
due to
very creative.
insecurity and stupidity. Steve Bannon.
Oh,
The immortal words of Trump advisor Steve Bannon, "Let's flood the zone with shit," was his quote.
what a motto.
Yeah, let's flood the zone with shit to overwhelm the press and the public with so much misinformation and disinformation that democracy can't function.
That's insane. That's insane that this is your agenda and you're aware of what you're doing. Because it's one thing to lie, but it's another to know you're purposely lying.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Trump, sometimes I feel like I wonder if he really believes his own lies. Sometimes I feel like he's so stupid that he believes what he's saying.
Yeah, no. Or he's doing it for other reasons. So this article in Time magazine gives a number of reasons why do politicians and people that we should respect fall into lying. So firstly, to flood the zone with shit. Just throw so much misinformation that nobody can make sense of anything.
Yeah.
So you retain control of the agenda then.
Yeah. And they think they don't understand things, or they lose interest and they lose count that you can control them.
You can't fact check everything anymore, so the fact checkers just give up.
Yeah.
Secondly, the lies aren't really about the lies. Sometimes the point isn't to make people believe a lie, it's to make people fear the liar. So it's asserting power over reality.
Yeah.
So if Trump says that's a lie, he's basically asserting his control and power over, what other people thought was previously true.
Yeah, but that's also all dictators do. This is what Trump really wants to do ultimately, is to become a dictator.
And he started behaving like that.
He started by gaining immunity, yeah.
And the third reason that it gives is lying is contagious. So neuroscientists have studied how people's brains react when they lie over and over again for personal gain. In short, the more they do it, the easier it gets. So you get on the slippery slope. So someone like Nigel Farage or President Trump or whatever, once those first few lies seem to go down very well and whatever, then it just becomes an escalation into more and more significant lies. It's such a shame because lying isn't something I associate with people I respect.
No. But it is really a huge shame that this is the life we're living right now, and these are people in power that one day he's going to be president. And then you have to obey him, and you have. I don't know how this is going to happen, but anyway.
Yeah.
I found a really interesting thing, actually. And it's attributed to Khalil Gibran, but I'm not sure that he had anything to do with it, but I still like it very much. So apparently it's a story about the truth and the lies. So the lie and the truth were walking together. And the lie said, "Oh, it's a marvelous day today." And the truth said, "Check the sky. Actually, it's true. It is a marvelous day today." So they kept walking together. And the lie again said, "Ooh, this water is really lovely. We should get in it." And the truth went there and tested the water, and was like, "Okay, actually, it's true." Yeah. So they took off their clothes and they went in. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, the lie runs out and puts the clothes of the truth on and runs off. And so the truth comes out naked, like chasing the lie to find the clothes. And people then, on the street and stuff, look at them and they're like, appalled by the naked truth. They look away, they don't want to see it. And so the truth goes and hides, and whenever it comes out, nobody likes it. Yeah. And the lie then continues to lead as a truth, just because it's wearing the wrong things. And I find that so interesting, because all of these lies that are dressed as truths are so appealing to us.
And we don't
want to believe them.
The naked truth.
We don't like the naked truth.
It's such a good story.
It's a really good story. And also, when I was reading about this, I found it very interesting that we sometimes call it the ugly truth.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Like we say sweet lies and the ugly truth.
Yeah.
And why is it that we see the truth and the lies like that? It's like we are condoning lying because it's sweeter,
Yeah.
And nobody wants to hear the truth.
That is really good. I like that. Another writer that we love that talked about lying was Shakespeare. So I did some research there. Aside from, there's a beautiful sonnet by Shakespeare called When My Love Swears That She Is Made of Truth, which is really nice. Maybe we have time to read that. But he also set about describing basically the 7 degrees of lying.
Oh.
Which, let me see if I can find that for you. Because I know that you looked at some different sorts of lying.
I did. I found quite a few actually when I was looking into it. I have, everything that I found on the internet is here basically. I'll read some of them to you later.
Let's see how much they correspond with Shakespeare then.
Yeah.
So now we're going back to the 1600s. So in As You Like It, he wrote, "Oh, sir, we quarrel in print by the book, as you have books for good manners. I will name you the degrees. The first," he's talking about the different types of lies. "The first, the retort courteous. The second, the quip modest. The third, the reply churlish. The fourth, the reproof valiant. The fifth, the countercheck quarrelsome. The sixth, the lie with circumstance. And the seventh, the lie direct. All these you may avoid, but the lie direct. And you may avoid that too with an if. I knew when 7 justices could not take up a quarrel, but when the parties were met themselves, one of them thought but of an if, as, if you said so, then I said so. And they shook hands and swore brothers. Your if is the only peacemaker. Much virtue in if." Now, it's a little bit complicated, but in that, he identifies 7 sorts or degrees of lying. So the retort courteous was the first one he mentioned. This is something which is thoughtful, but is just not of the same opinion as the one who had the opinion of. So just not necessarily agreeing.
Yeah, exactly.
The quip modest. In other words, what you say doesn't bear relevance to me because I've done this in this way that I want to do it. So disagreeing about how to do something. The reply churlish. Well, it doesn't matter what you say because I'm the judge of this and you can't be the judge of this.
Yeah, I hate those. So
the reproof valiant. In other words, you're not capable of speaking the truth and therefore what you've said can't be true. You're a liar all the time. The countercheck quarrelsome. The clear precursor to the next one, the lie circumstantial, in which the one who is had the opinion of claims that the other is lying. In other words, surely you lie as you speak. I am offended by your lies told of me. The lie circumstantial, number 6, the lie with circumstance, or a lie in which the one who is had the opinion of claims that a lie is being told about his or herself and is based upon the person saying the lie and the content of the lie. If X has said Y, then surely it is a lie.
Yeah.
And then the lie direct, the claimant directly accuses the one who has said their opinion of telling a lie or being a liar, or the thing which you've just said is a lie. So quite interesting that back in the day, he was already basically writing like an internet blog.
Yeah.
Of here are the 7 types.
Exactly, the 7 types of lying.
Yeah. So
very
quite interesting.
The ones that I found were less complicated.
Yes.
So there is. So this reminds me of the American movies where they say, "Do you swear to tell the truth,
the whole truth,
or
nothing but
the truth?
Yes,
so help you God."
Yeah.
So omission. So lying by omission. I think that's a very good one. You don't tell the whole truth. You're not necessarily lying. You're just omitting some things.
And I think we all do that all the time.
Yes, I think we all do that.
Depending on who you're with, there are certain parts of my life that are closed and I don't talk about. And so, I might get a question where I could answer that in a different way, but I just don't want to open up those
that kind
chapters.
of worms. Yeah. White lies. We talked about that. That's usually to protect the person that you're talking to. Fabrication, which is what we're seeing in politics.
Oh yeah, and I think everybody does that because I think we're naturally storytellers.
Yeah.
And so you could tell the story, how was your weekend? Yeah, it was really quite average. and I went and did the shopping like I do every week, and I did that. So we need to find something
to
glitz it up to make it into a much more interesting story.
Yeah, but I think fabrication is more dangerous than that. I think when you're like making up something completely, you know, like something like, oh yeah, we went to this really nice concert and it was so wonderful, and oh my god, I had like
the best food I've ever had.
Yeah, I think that's fabrication.
Yes,
intentional liar. That's, I think, almost the same thing.
Yeah.
Plagiarism, is that something we struggle with?
Yeah, so a big deal, sort of, especially these days. Academic honesty, taking other people's work as, passing it off as your own, and even more of a challenge now with ChatGPT, claiming somebody else's intelligence to be your own.
Yeah,
that's surely lying, isn't it? Of a kind.
Exactly. Then we have broken promises. That's an interesting one.
Oh, so a broken promise is also
that's also a lie.
A lie,
of course, because you promise somebody, and then the honest thing would be to go and do it. You know, but if you don't, that's a lie. That's a type of lying.
There's two sorts of untruth there. One is making a promise that you know you can't keep.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other is not keeping it when you said you would.
Yes, exactly. That's very true.
Sometimes there's a reason for the second one.
Yes. Sometimes it's out of your hands. You can't do it.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
Whereas I think promising that you will do something when you've got no intention of is scandalous.
It's really terrible.
Yeah, I don't like
especially when you do it to children, because they are so gullible and they trust you so completely.
Oh, you give me some ideas now. My tactics.
So there's that narcissistic personality disorder.
Yes.
You know, the people who always, like, they make themselves so grand.
You know, if I hadn't been there, it would have been a disaster.
Yeah.
I just saved the day again.
Exactly, exactly. And it's all,
School's so lucky to have me here.
Yeah, yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Compulsive liars.
You were lying then when you said I agree, weren't you? Yeah.
Well, that was sarcasm.
Oh, it's sarcasm. Different. Is that different?
Yes.
Oh. Sarcasm's like a white lie, but that's particularly funny, in my opinion.
It's not a white lie. It's, I'm not saying that it's not truthful.
Okay. Okay.
Compulsive liars. I find those quite entertaining. I think when you're aware of them.
Do you know many compulsive liars?
I do. Yeah. I know one person in my family, an older person, that whatever this person says, we always have to either check or we just take it at face value and, find it entertaining and move on. Yeah. But we never believe anything this person says.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because a lot of the things they say is to entertain us, but it's like, makes you lose trust in this person, because the other things you're like, are you now embellishing the truth, or are you fabricating, or are you just... Is it hyperbole just to make it... It's like a warning sign.
Never believe what this person says, because you can't
exactly.
trust them.
It's like when you were talking about earlier, the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah.
It's like we catch this person in a lie a few times and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I told you the story about the girl that I worked with in Holland, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Did I do that in an earlier podcast? I can't remember.
I don't think we said it on the podcast, no.
But this was a girl who, I was working away in Holland on a project, and this girl who... used to come in with often on crutches or with arm in plaster or limping or whatever, and it was clear from discussions with her that she was poorly.
Yeah.
She really was ill,
yeah.
and she claimed she had cancer and it was really bad, and she used to have to leave early on a Wednesday to go to the hospital.
And you're all like, that's fine.
And we were all really nice to her, and we felt so sorry for her. Raised money and bought presents and all this kind of stuff. And the boss used to take her on the Wednesday in her car and drop her off at the hospital so she could go for her treatment. And on one particular week, this is months and months and months of this, and the boss drops her off and the girl gets out and goes into the hospital. But she left something in the car. So the boss went in and looked around to try and find the department, cancer ward or whatever, and went there, and this girl was not there. She was nowhere to be seen. And, well, do you know where she might be? And basically, she'd never had any treatment there.
There's no record.
She falsified all of it. Basically, just to get attention.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a compulsive lying.
just to get attention. But what a thing to do, to claim that you're dying. You know, and everybody was so shocked. It was worse than finding that, you know, somebody's been arrested of committing a crime.
Yeah, or cheated you out of money or anything like that. This is just
because it was really playing on your goodwill
Exactly.
and, you know, your emotions and such like. But it's interesting because I think in certain cultures, if somebody had been found to do that in the workplace, they would just be fired, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
But to be fair, in Holland, they didn't fire her.
Did they transfer her to another department?
Sales and marketing. No, they put her on a course with therapy.
They did that
To help her, and moved her to a different department where she could be sort of protected a little bit.
Start lying all over again to new gullible people.
Yeah, but that's amazing.
That's
I
insane.
never realised that people would go to that degree to conceal the truth.
Yeah. It's really insane what people are capable of, and you wonder, like, why?
I mean, in relationships, people must. I mean, when people are having affairs and stuff like that, the ends to which they must go.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that actually.
About my affairs?
Your affairs? No, I was going to ask you, who do you think is a better cheater in terms of like covering up, men or women?
I'm brilliant at it. That's such a difficult question.
I'm guessing women.
I think because stereotypically you expect men to cheat.
Yeah.
Whereas you don't expect women. So I think your natural inclination is that women must be much better at covering it up.
I'm guessing that. Yeah, because they're more.
I also think I think there's something about men with men talking about their escapades.
Oh yeah.
And there is a little bit of, you know, hey, guess what happened to me?
Okay.
Whereas do women? I don't think women.
I think women talk about it too.
Do they?
Yeah.
Do they share that kind of knowledge?
I think women cover for each other more. Or actually, no, I think they both cover. But I think men are not so good at hiding things, whereas women are more resourceful.
Yeah. So I think if your relationship is in a state where you feel the need to go outside your relationship, I think you'd probably resort to anything to conceal the truth.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't get it. It's just like end the relationship. You don't have to.
Yeah. Why? Yeah.
Anyway,
how do you feel about? Are you honest with yourself? Because in a way, of all the sorts of lying, I was thinking about this when we were doing the research. I never really thought about lying in terms of lying to myself. But I don't consider myself to be particularly bad at lying to other people. I think I probably conceal a few things.
Yeah.
But generally, I'm pretty genuine, and I try and be honest with the kids and whatever. But I'm a terrible liar to myself.
Really?
I think.
How?
I think
you try to like convince yourself that things are better than they are?
Possibly.
I see.
Or to believe things aren't as they are. That sort of self-deception. I think people do it to paint a different picture of the life that they're having. You know, maybe this is where Stoicism is actually a really good thing, because it says focus on here and now and be honest about where you are in order that you can better deal with it going forward. Whereas I know from my experience, I'm probably in denial about so many things.
Really?
Or in self-deception or false beliefs. Article from Psychology Today. So I looked at this to see, you know, can I see
Do
this?
I fall into this category?
And why are reasons that we tell lies? Why do we tell lies to ourselves? So first reason, ignorance is bliss. So one of the most difficult problems in sustaining our goals is how to persist when we get negative feedback. So the best way is just ignore everything, you know. So, for example, when you get married, and
you can see the red flags, but you totally ignore them.
but it says till death us do part when you get married. So you don't do an analysis of the divorce statistics, which tell you you've got 50% chance.
Yeah.
And, you know, so ignorance is bliss. Secondly, reality denial. Denial as a psychological defense we all use against external realities to create a false sense of security. So unbearable news. This is like, I never go to the doctor.
Yes, I noticed that.
I don't want to know that I've got
But Tony,
cancer
you've been living
or
here
disease.
for so long and you still don't have a house arts. That's insane.
It's much less stressful. But I can see where it sits. It's kind of that reality denial.
Yeah.
Unbearable news. Maybe it'd be worse to have that, so it's better to be in denial. Alcoholics often insist they've got no drinking problem.
Yes.
No, I'm fine. I can, gambling. Oh, it's good. I just have fun with it.
I can stop anytime.
Yeah. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Overconfident. This is perhaps where I don't go to the doctors because I'm going to live forever.
Healthy. Yeah.
I've got a mirror in the attic. So overconfident individuals think that they're blessed, that they're well liked by others, and that they'll come out on top. 90% of all drivers think that they're above average drivers. That can't be true. 94% of professors at a large university were found to believe that they're better than the average professor. It can't be true.
It can't be true.
It can only be 50%. And the same, unrealistic optimism over health consequences, for example. Amongst a group of people trying to quit smoking, the ones who gave especially high ratings to their own willpower were most likely to fail. I'll have no problems.
I can stop anytime.
Yeah. Opposite of overconfidence is self-handicapping. If a person's uncertain about her true ability and afraid to find out what her true ability is, she might refrain from doing that completely.
Yeah.
You've referred to this kind of before.
Yeah, I kind of do that to myself.
When talking about failure, better just not to try.
Yeah.
Self-handicap yourself.
Yeah.
How I like myself to be seen. People like to be perceived favourably, not just by other people, by themselves. So they paint a picture of personality traits that have a high social value. Oh, Tony, you're such a good guy. Everybody loves you. You're honest. You're so intelligent. Don't paint any of the negatives. You don't see that because you want to be see yourself favourably as well. That's why you only put nice pictures of yourself on Facebook or in a dating site. You don't post the warts and all pictures that show you how you really are.
That's very interesting.
Cherry picking data. People tend to embrace information that supports their beliefs and reject information that contradicts them. So you will reject any information about yourself that does not support you already, And a few things happened to me in my job when I was in Leipzig, where I failed on certain things. And I could not believe that was true. Because I'd kind of created this self-image of myself,
Yeah.
Sour grapes. In Aesop's fables, the fox tries hard to get his hands on a tasty vine of grapes.
Yep.
Motive, again, to maintain a positive self-image. And then this concept of me and others. This is where the psychologists use the term attributions, where people explain events in their lives as being attributed to other people and not themselves.
So there's a victim, exactly.
I know I'm alcoholic, but it's Rama's fault. She's driven me to drink.
Yeah.
I know I've been unreasonable in our relationship,
but because of your actions,
you've driven me to this.
Exactly.
So there we go. And lots of reasons why we lie to ourselves. So I felt a lot better about that.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Do you think that when we talk about well-being, we talked about that and your journey to sort of self-enlightenment, do you think that should be in my list of things to do then, to be prepared to be more honest with myself? Is that part of the package?
I think so. I think it's the time to, sit down and take a very good look in the mirror and just see what it is that... I mean, especially if you feel that something is holding you back. I feel like if you're happy and genuinely people like you and you're doing very, very good things here, so I don't know what it is, but if you're feeling that you're stuck, then that definitely is your way out, is to sit down and have a very honest look at your life and your actions. But again, if you're happy, then don't change anything.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. That's what I say.
I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. What is the biggest lie that you feel like what society tells us, or people say, all the time?
Like,
what is a lie around us that you're like, that's...
Everybody's born equal.
Yeah, that's a very good one. That is a very good one.
Or everybody has the same opportunities.
I was going to say, you make your own luck. I think that's one of the biggest lies.
There's no substitute for hard work.
Yeah, that's also not true. Yes, I
So
totally...
I think I could reel off a whole load which are to do with inequality.
Yeah, I think these are things we tell people who don't have so much luck because we want them to help themselves.
Yeah.
But for me, the biggest one, I think, is karma.
Yeah.
Where we say, don't worry about that person who did you wrong. Someday they're going to be punished.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
No, some people just get away with it.
If you look at like these bad people that kill people, or the presidents, or the Holocaust criminals that actually went and lived in South America and they were completely fine until they died, or my president. All of these people are getting away with their horrible
How
things.
can President Trump, after all of those charges against him, still be running for president and have the potential to become the new president and therefore intervene in his own criminal proceedings to basically pardon himself?
Yes, it's insane. And he's living a luxurious life.
10 kilometres per hour over the speed limit at the roadworks and get a speeding ticket and a point. I don't get away with it.
Yeah, I know. Because he can't go and change the law to suit what Tony really wants.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh.
Have you got something to read to us to finish with?
Can I read the Shakespeare?
Yes, please.
Because I think Shakespeare, this is one of his
best sonnets.
Great topics.
Yeah.
Lying, I could have done a whole podcast just about Shakespeare and lying, but
before you start, isn't it interesting that we did not do anything about religion this time? Because it's very obvious religion really looks down on liars.
Christianity says you must lie until it's
fake it until you make it.
Is it explicitly a sin?
Yes,
I think it is.
Yes, okay.
So we can do that. And Stoicism, I think we know what
we
the Stoic view is. Shakespeare, then, famous sonnet 138. When my love swears that she is made of truth. When my love swears that she is made of truth, I do believe her, though I know she lies. That she might think me some untutored youth, unlearned in the world's false subtleties. Thus vainly thinking that she thinks me young, although she knows my days are past the best. Simply I credit her false-speaking tongue. On both sides thus is simple truth suppressed. But wherefore says she not she is unjust? And wherefore say not I that I am old? O love's best habit is in seeming trust, and age in love loves not to have years told. Therefore I lie with her, and she with me, and in our faults by lies we flattered be.
Aww.
So that idea about growing older with your love and just lying to each other throughout to flatter each other, knowing that the other person's lying and you're lying to them, but it's all part of the relationship.
That's really sweet. It's very sweet. And also, I think sometimes maybe we're not lying. Sometimes we love somebody so much that we only see their good sides, like love is blind, honestly.
That's true as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And in our faults, by lies, we flattered be.
Oh, we flattered be.
Yeah,
very
that's nice. Good old Will.
Yes.
So I'm off this evening because I've been invited to a Michelin 5-star restaurant by this actress that I know.
Oh, yeah.
She's just...
Is the limo waiting outside?
No, helicopter.
A helicopter, okay.
So I'll report back to you tomorrow how that was, if I decide to come back to work.
Okay, very good. Very good. Enjoy then.
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't be lying if I told you that I really enjoyed this today. This was really fun.
Oh, okay. Are you telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Very good. Well done. Yes.
Ben.
That was really good. A quote to finish with from Nietzsche.
Yes.
The most common sort of lie is that by which a man deceives himself. The deception of others is a relatively rare offence. So, good old Nietzsche.
I love Nietzsche.
And Dostoevsky also said, lying to ourselves is more deeply ingrained than lying to others.
Yeah.
So I think my lesson from this is that I shouldn't tell any more lies, really, to myself.
To myself, exactly.
Yeah.
You can lie to everybody else.
I'm going to lie to everybody else.
But you have to be honest with yourself. I think, but there's a very fine line between being honest with yourself and being too hard on yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think I fall into the other end of the spectrum.
Too honest with yourself?
Too hard on myself. I think like people don't see me the way I see myself, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I also have to be more. Yeah.
Yes, because I don't think to be true to yourself, i.e. not lie to yourself, doesn't mean you've got to be hard on yourself.
Exactly. It
You
doesn't
can
mean that
be compassionate to yourself as well as to other people.
Exactly. I think that's where we should work on ourselves.
Truth and compassion in equal measure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
I like
on
it.
that mantra, let's go.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll see you again next week.
Okay.
Okay, honestly.
Yeah, honestly.
Bye.
Bye.
We hope that you've enjoyed listening to the readings we chose for you today.
And that our musings have ignited your thoughts.
If you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and those you think would enjoy it.
If you have any thoughts, suggestions, or any kind of feedback, please send us an email using the email in the show notes.
We'd love to hear from you with the words that make you.